Good evening. A man who began a crusade for justice after his wife was killed by a drunk driver says he's disgusted by the 6-month sentence passed by a judge today. The maximum possible sentence had been 5 years. The driver, Marshall Richardson from Grays in Essex, did plead guilty. But Roy Shrimpton says it's a hollow victory. Simon Neve reports.
Marisa and Andrew haven't got a mother anymore. A 19-year-old drunk filled himself with lager and over the limit crashed his car head-on into Angela Shrimpton, their mother, as she was returning home from working late. The Crown Prosecution Service refused to charge Marshall Richardson with causing death by reckless driving. So husband Roy Shrimpton was forced to prosecute privately. Today, after pleading guilty, Richardson was sentenced to 6 months detention in a young offenders institution.
I'm disgusted with it, 6 months and 5 years ban, You should tell that to my wife and kids.
A murder hunt is underway tonight after a man found near Ladbroke Grove tube station suffering from stab wounds died in hospital. The victim was Anthony Bayett of Sable Road in Islington. He was 23. He was spotted staggering in the road by an ambulance driver late last night. Police say they've no idea of the motive. Bus crews are warning of a strike hitting services across the capital. It follows the collapse of plans for a new network of bus services in South London this weekend. 9 routes are involved. Drivers say the move means longer hours, but London buses say if the row isn't settled, the routes could go to another firm with the loss of 200 jobs. Protesters have occupied 2 libraries in Brent to prevent them being shut down by the council. The closures are part of a £17 million cuts package. John Andrew reports.
Protesters locked themselves into the 2 libraries last night and say they'll stay put until the council abandons its plan to close them.
Who is it?
We want to come in to borrow books.
Oh, right, okay.
Only people returning or borrowing books are being allowed in. The Kensal Rise Library was opened back in 1900 by the American author Mark Twain. It was a gift from All Souls College, Oxford, who laid down in a covenant that it should remain as a public library. Brent Council say they're closing this and another library at Cricklewood to save money. They regret the closures, but say that with a new library opening at Willesden and more mobile libraries, the borough will still be left with a reasonable service.
A nationwide hunt has been launched for a soldier who kidnapped his wife's 9-month-old baby. Private David Connolly, who's on the run from the Royal Green Jackets, took baby Sophie from his mother's flat in Rainham 6 days ago. The centenary of a strike by thousands of downtrodden match girls in the East End is being marked with the staging of a play called Strike a Light. It portrays an event that proved a turning point for London's sweatshops, leading to the formation of a trade union and much improved conditions. And now the Thames weather. Tonight will be mild and dry. There'll be some light rain in the morning, but it'll become dry and brighter later. The high 17 degrees Celsius, that's 63 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's it. There'll be more Thames news at 9:55 tomorrow morning.
In this week's City programme, British Steel privatisation and a bumpy ride for the City Airport. Catch the city's most popular financial programme, Thursday after news at 10.
In a moment, the concluding part of City Heat.
How's Edwina settling in then, Headmaster?
Well, her Latin's a little weak.
Oh, that's funny, because I used to speak it like a native.
A small increase this term, I'm afraid. Not enough to affect your mortgage, though.
No, it's my husband's Abbey National Current Account. Checkbook, cash card, just like a bank's.
No transaction charges, and they pay me interest 12 times a year.
Which means we can afford to give Edwina nothing but the best.
Yeah, so you can get her a new tennis bat for a start, all right?
Abbey National, with interest and no charges. It's the most current account.
There's no better liquid.
So pour the best.
Persil's creamy.
Smells fresher than the rest. Hot Point agrees.
They say so too.
It's the best liquid.
For you.
And you.
And you. Bright and clean.
best you've seen. It gets the whole wash clean.
Your whole wash right.
So colors stay bright.
And white stay white.
So bright and clean. Bright and clean, best you've seen. It's thick, it's rich, you see what we mean. You can't pour better liquid into your machine.
Get your whole wash right.
Gets it bright and clean.
Persil liquid.
Yeah, that's the scene.
The best liquid for today's wash, Persil liquid.
Smooth and silky, that's my comfort. Fresh and full of life, that's my comfort. Soft and gentle, rich and caring, that's my comfort.
I need a rest.
Hey, what's your game? Oh, you're,
Yeah,
shattered.
Knowing. The new fragrance from Estee Lauder. Knowing is all. Exclusively at Harrods.
Home. The first thing I'm going to have is something decent to eat. I've really missed Sunday lunch. Roast beef, roast potatoes, peas, Yorkshire pudding.
The roast beef platter is one of the Menu Master complete meals from Birdseye. For people who know what they like.
Terrific. You can't get that in Corfu.
Master, the wind you created for the way you live today.
The bill at 8, chain letters at 7:30 and Jimmy's at 7. These are your highlights for Thursday evening on Thames.
Now.